Hey, what's happening? This is Isai Rodriguez, host of the Dadspination podcast, where I cater to the professional working man, 40 and above, who's looking to make positive changes to his health, lose weight, and become stronger overall through simple lifestyle changes. I'm here to share inspiration, tips, and proven lessons that I've personally learned and lived through in my 40 plus years on this here beautiful blue planet. So today we'll start the discussion off by talking about the 7 consequences of not drinking enough water throughout the day in our first segment. And then we'll move on to our second segment and talk about the 7 super effective dumbbell exercises that'll hit almost every muscle in your body. And before we get into that, if you'd like to join the conversation, then head on over to podcast.dadspination.com/VIP to get on the VIP Insiders community, where I share more entertaining, behind-the-scenes stories, tips, and hacks that'll keep you feeling younger each and every day. That's podcast.dadspination.com/VIP. Again, that's podcast.dadspination.com/VIP. Be in the know starting right now. Also, don't forget to rate me on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you're listening to this episode right now. And leave me a nice, fat, juicy 5-star review and some absolutely beautiful words of why you love the show so much. It really helps me get the word out, and it's honestly the one place where your vote truly matters. Now, let's move into our first segment with Healthy Conversations. So hey, in this week's installment of Healthy Conversations, we're talking about 7 consequences of not drinking enough water. So we're heading into these summer months, and I don't know about you, but it is hot by us. It literally went practically from winter right into summer. There was a little tiny bit of springtime weather in there, but for us on the East Coast over here, we've had a little mini heat wave, if you will, I suppose. And I'm sure the first thing that comes to mind is, like, you're probably saying, well, Isai, you're going to dehydrate, right? If you don't drink enough water? And yes, you're right. But we're talking about more than just that. In fact, I can't help but wonder what our nomadic ancestors would think if they were alive today, like seeing us clutching water bottles 24/7, like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Like, we do this regardless of the fact that our lives aren't exactly physically grueling, you know what I mean? Like, actually kind of the opposite. Again, we've been living this sedentary life recently, and this couldn't be farther from the truth, you know? And it's kind of funny if you think about it, you know? Still, even though we may have taken water dependence to the next level, like, our instincts aren't wrong, you know? Like, drinking enough water is super important. Like, water, as you know, is required to perform nearly every bodily function that we have. I mean, we're 60% water-based creatures after all. And many people are unknowingly mildly dehydrated most of the time, you know? And sometimes when people hear mildly dehydrated, quote unquote, like, they wonder, like, how can that be? Like, how is that? How am I dehydrated? Like, I drink water, you know, but the reality is that you lose water regularly throughout the day when you breathe, when you sweat, you know, when you're digesting food. Like, without you even knowing it, you're slowly dehydrating throughout the day. And when our bodies are low on water, there are consequences that come up that you have to deal with. And some are obvious and just, like, you know, mildly annoying, but others can actually be crippling. And so this is what happens if you're not drinking enough water. the first consequence of dehydration or not drinking enough water are headaches. Your noggin is often the first, or at least the most obvious part of your body to ring the alarm on an H2O deficiency. So as soon as your body starts losing that water to the point where your brain notices the effect, you most likely will be ticked off because your head starts to hurt. And it usually does so in the form of a mild to a severe pain, So what happens is that, since the blood vessels around your brain are, super sensitive, if you don't drink enough water, they basically react to the change in the blood flow in your brain, and that basically increases the likelihood of you having a headache. The second consequence of not drinking enough water is constipation. So simply put, when there's not enough water running through your digestive system, it can show signs of struggle, which typically shows up in your system as constipation. And before you start bulking up on the fiber, just be aware that the more fiber you take in, the more water you'll actually need to be drinking, because fiber actually requires water in order to be properly digested. So without it, you might actually experience additional symptoms on top of your constipation, like bloating and gas, so don't do it. Water is also necessary for your body to form saliva, and saliva is also necessary for your overall gut function. Because think about it, where does digestion actually start? As soon as you put something in your mouth, the first thing that happens is, it's engulfed, or it's doused with saliva. Digestion starts in your mouth, so yeah, it's kind of important. You know what I mean? So consequence number 3 is fatigue. You can easily be fatigued for any number of reasons. So it might be hard to connect this symptom to dehydration, but still, not enough water in your body can seriously make you feel tired. This has to do, at least in part, with the changes in the amount of blood in your body that's caused by these water shortages, you know what I mean? For, a lack of better terms. So if you're feeling the, quote unquote, that after lunch slump, then having a glass of water might be a better first step rather than sipping on coffee or tea, which could actually further dehydrate you even more, so be careful with that. Now, the fourth consequence is a funny one. This one is hunger. I get on my son for this one all the time, because dehydration can also make you feel hungry before you even feel that, your body is thirsty. That signal to your brain saying, hey, I'm thirsty. It doesn't make it to your brain when you're dehydrated. I'm always telling my son to drink more water when he comes to me and tells me that, hey, he's like, hey, daddy, I'm hungry. Daddy, I'm hungry. Or daddy, I'm hungry. I know he's dehydrated because the water that I had previously poured for him, with lunch or breakfast or whatever, is still sitting in his cup, half full at dinner time. You know what I mean? And he's coming to me hey, I'm hungry. And I get on him hey, you need to drink more water. You're dehydrated. But it's funny how the brain does this to us, and it's because both signals come from the same part of the brain, the hypothalamus, and wires can actually get crossed, so to speak. You know what I mean? The result might be unnecessary snacking, with my son coming to me after an hour after he just ate and telling me that he's hungry. So, it's worth drinking water before eating if you've recently eaten and, you shouldn't be hungry again. It could be that dehydration. Leading into consequence number 5 is impaired brain function. So we've been kind of talking about this, starting with the whole hunger thing, your body, when you're dehydrated, some signals don't even make it to your brain, and there's an the author of the book Brain Food, The Surprising Science of Eating for Cognitive Power, says that staying hydrated is the number one priority when it comes to brain health. In fact, even a 2 to 4% decrease in your body mass due to dehydration can throw your brain off balance and out of whack. And one study even found that mild dehydration produced a significant increase in minor driving errors during a long drive. So go figure that. Like, dehydration or that lack of water in your body can really throw your system out of whack. Like, it can really screw with your brain and all your systems. So drink more water. Consequence number 6 is a bad mood. So did you know that not being properly hydrated can actually affect your mood? Seriously, like, actually, a small study of young women showed how mild dehydration had negative effects. It's funny how this study was all women, but that's another story for a different day. But what they found was that the body requires water to produce hormones and other neurotransmitters. So it makes sense that dehydration causes mood swings. How about that? Consequence number 7 is overheating. So this one is kind of self-explanatory. Like, hydration helps to maintain a comfortable body temperature. That's just the facts. This is why dehydration can make you feel overheated, especially in hot environments. So if you're feeling the heat, you might want to try raising a glass, if you will, before you lower the thermostat, because the problem may simply be that your body needs more cooling, so to speak. You know what I mean? So it needs to cool down, and you're feeling hot, but what you really need is a little water, a little hydration to bring that internal body heat down a bit. Now keep an eye out for these symptoms, these consequences, because if you're feeling one or some of these, like, you may need to up your water intake for the day, especially now that we're heading into these summer months. Well, like I said earlier, at least here in the US we are. Actually, drop in the comments where on this beautiful blue marble you're tuning in from. I'm curious to know. Are you heading into summer like we are over here, or are you heading into winter? Let me know down in the comments. And remember that the more you know, the better you'll be. And so with all that said and done, let's switch gears and move on to our second segment with Mighty Man. So in this installment of Mighty Man, we're talking about the 7 super effective dumbbell exercises that'll hit almost every muscle in your body. So let me ask you something here. How are your bodyweight exercises at home coming along? Like, are you seeing the progress you wanted to see when you first started working out at home? Because let me know in the comments, drop it down there, because what I found is that after months of doing bodyweight exercises alone, like in your living room, obviously, you're probably ready to try something new. Am I right? And while you could certainly mix things up by ordering, let's say, a Peloton bike or a fancy trampoline or something, you can also choose to up the ante on your at-home workouts with one of the most basic and affordable, gotta put that in there, pieces of equipment for, that your money can actually buy. Seriously, a simple set of dumbbells will easily upgrade your workouts to the next level. And that's because adding weights into your workout is a great way to increase the overall strength and tone of your muscles, not to mention improving your balance, flexibility, and stability, but reaching for a good quality set for the first time can be a little overwhelming at first. Like me personally, I love supplementing bodyweight exercises with dumbbells to, essentially make the movements harder and more challenging for me. And adding progressive weight to your workouts forces the muscles to constantly have to adapt and rebuild themselves stronger. This makes your at-home workouts highly effective. And this is the key here to creating those desired next level, quote unquote, like those next level results that you're looking for. And now, when you're first getting started with beginner dumbbell exercises, like, I suggest that you keep it simple and choose light dumbbells. Guys, I'm serious. Like, ideally between 20 and 30 pounds or whatever you feel is light for you. I know there's a few ladies out there that listen to me. So obviously 20 to 30 pounds might be a little too heavy for you. Maybe 5 to 10 or 10 to 15, like in that, again, whatever you feel is quote unquote light for you, but that's the key, especially if you haven't been working out with any sort of weights or any resistance or anything like that. You want to start down low and work yourself up. You want to be able to learn the exercise, the movements correctly, and then execute proper form before upgrading the weight. So basically you don't want the weight to be too heavy. The right weight dumbbells ensure that you train effectively without putting the wrong type of strain on your muscles. Again, you want to train smarter, not harder, so you eliminate the risk of potential injury. And remember that using heavy weight doesn't equal results when it's used the wrong way. So you'll want to start off by focusing on more basic stationary moves like squats and chest presses and rows, bicep curls. That's another, fundamental, or shoulder presses and the tricep extensions. Like, these are all fundamental movements that you need to essentially master, you know what I mean? Before you move on to bigger or heavier weights, So first things first, get that form down right with the lighter weights. And then once you get the fundamentals down to a science, that's when you can add in some compound moves where you work the upper and lower body together. And so once you get to this point, I've got 7 super effective exercises that you can add into your workouts that'll basically hit every friggin' muscle in your body. Are you ready? All right, let's do this then. Exercise number 1 is the bent over row. So for this movement, what you're gonna do is first you'll grab your dumbbell in each hand, obviously, and then you want to hinge just a little bit at the waist, tiny bit, not so deep like a Romanian deadlift, but somewhere in the middle of like standing up straight and an RDL, or aka Romanian deadlift. You'll want to bend your knees with your feet hips width apart, so then you'll push your hips back and then roll your shoulders back also, to bend your upper body down just a little so you can keep your spine straight. And now with your spine straight, knees bent, and that slight hinge at the waist, keep your arms relaxed and down, similar to an RDL, but just not as far down. Again, like, you're not hinging as deep, but it's gonna be similar. Like that starting position is gonna be similar. You're just not hinged as deep. And what you do is you pull your arms up with your elbows in tight to your body, and you pull it up to about a 90-degree angle until the weights are parallel to your hips. So you want to bring up the weights up to your basically up to your hips, keeping your elbows in tight and ending in like a 90-degree bend in your elbows. Squeeze the back of your shoulders together when you get to the top of the move, then slowly lower your arms back down to the starting position. Super simple, yet again super effective, because it works your legs, your arms, shoulders, and if you keep your core tight, which you should be doing, it'll work your core as well. So booyah. Exercise number 2, alternating dumbbell curl to an overhead press. Now this is a mouthful, but it's actually pretty simple. This move is actually a sweet 2-for-1 deal. It targets your arms and shoulders at the same time. So here you'll start in like a standing position. So basically, standing up straight with a dumbbell in each hand, bend at your elbows to curl the weights up to your shoulders. And now while you're going through the curling motion from the starting position at your hips and ending at your shoulders, be sure to keep your palms facing your body and your elbows glued to your sides as you curl up to your shoulders. So it's kind of like it's basically like a hammer curl is what we're looking for here. And slowly bring your arms out to your sides while keeping the dumbbells at shoulder height, still keeping your elbows as close close to the body as possible. Now press the weights up overhead and keep your palms facing forward. And then once you hit the top of the movement, or basically when your arms are fully extended upward, then slowly reverse the move and return to the starting position. So again, that's a whole like a hammer curl. Then you bring your arms out, keeping the elbows tight, and then you press up. And with this exercise, you're looking for slow, methodical movements throughout the whole exercise. I like this one because it really hits the shoulders and biceps really good. You're really gonna feel that after, your first or second set for sure. Moving on to the third exercise is the dumbbell lateral raise. Now this one kind of sounds maybe like the last exercise, but trust me, it's not. Once you hear me out here, you'll see that they're like basically totally different exercises. I mean, it's just as efficient and as effective, but we're not doing the same movements. They're not, they're not the same movements. So this exercise is, again, super, super simple and involves raising a set of dumbbells out to your sides until they're parallel to your shoulders. You're basically creating a T shape with your body. Now, make sure to engage your core and glutes as you move, and start with light weights until you master the slow, controlled motion of the move. Because this is a simple move here, but I also have to warn you because it's an easy move to perform, but it's equally as easy to hurt yourself with this shoulder exercise. Now, that being said, this bad boy does a great job at targeting your deltoids, aka your shoulder muscles. So again, slow, controlled movements is what you're after here. Start with the dumbbells at your hips and slowly raise them to shoulder height, and think of it as if you're forming a T with your body and arms. Some would call this the Jesus Christ position. Again, your arms are straight out and in the T position, but obviously instead of your palms facing forward, as in would be the Jesus Christ position, you would want your palms down as you're holding, the dumbbells. Great exercise for working your shoulders here. And good one. So, but moving on to exercise number 4, the goblet squat. I really like these. Like, generally I do these with a kettlebell, but a dumbbell works just as good here. And weights aren't just for working your arms and shoulders. You can use dumbbell exercises to hit your lower body as also. And the goblet squat does that perfectly. So the way this one goes is, if you've never done it before, is, you hold a single medium to heavy weight with one end in each hand, and then you lower down into a squat until your butt is slightly below your knees. The key is to hold that weight right, like high on your chest, almost right under your chin. Not so much that that you have to kind of bring your chin up, but you still want that comfortably right under your chin, basically. And that's basically it. You hold that weight right there at your chest, slowly come down, down into a squat until your butt is slightly below your knees. And that's basically it. Now drive back up through your heels and return to standing. That's the key right there, is putting that force into your heels to basically explode up. You know what I mean? Now, one thing I'll say here is that you'll want to squeeze your glutes as you reach the top of the move. This will give your glutes a nice little burn and help shape and form that little bum. You know what I mean? Actually, another thing I'll add here is to make sure to keep your chest proud and eyes up to maintain proper form throughout. And again, use slower, methodical movements to really get the most out of this move. The only time that you're not going to be slow is when you're coming up. You want to kind of explode up. Not, you're not jumping, but you're not coming up slow. I guess you could come up slow, but that's not the exercise. And that's basically it. That's all there is to that move. Exercise number 5, the weighted reverse lunge. We all know and love reverse lunges. Am I right? But you can really kick your lunges up a notch just by adding some weight into the mix. So basically hold a dumbbell in each hand and take a nice big step back with one leg. And then you want to drop down into your lunge and make sure that your front knee stays behind your toes. That's key right there. Then drive up up through your front foot to return back to standing, and then repeat on the other side. There's really not much to this one, but oh baby, if you do them slowly, maybe hold it for a second or two in the down position, and then again, slowly come back up, posture up, squeeze them glutes. Trust me, you're gonna feel it after the first or second set for sure. Trust me on that. Moving on to exercise number 6 is the dumbbell wood chop. This one is another one of those exercises that really hit and carve up your midsection. Yep, you heard that right. You can use dumbbells to work your core. That's what I'm talking about, because who doesn't like a nice sexy core, a nice six-pack going on there, or even just a general shape as I am. If you ain't blessed with the six-pack just yet. Now this move involves twisting through your abs and obliques to raise a weight above your head, and basically imitates the act or action of chopping wood, hence the name of dumbbell wood chop. So what you want to do is first hold the top of a weight in both hands at one side of your body, then stabilize your core as you pivot to reach it up above your opposite shoulder as if you were swinging an axe. Then swipe it back down to the starting position as you rotate through your feet. Now, I enunciated the rotate for a reason, because that's important. And unlike actual chopping of wood, where you'll probably be going at it and really releasing some stress, with this movement, you'll want to really control the movements to get the most out of them and really focus on the twisting of your core. You want a little speed, but not too much. Again, your goal is to control the chopping movement. And one of the key factors of that control is that rotation in your feet. It's keeping that feet rotating properly. And last but not least, we have exercise number 7, the single leg deadlift, or as it's otherwise known, single leg RDL. Now this hip dominant one-sided move does a great job at targeting your hips and glutes one side at a time. And you basically start off by simply holding a weight in one hand and stabilizing your foot on the opposite side. So basically you want to bend your standing knee just a bit and slowly lower the weight down toward the floor. You also want to keep the weight in the opposite hand that you're standing on. So if you're standing on your right leg, then the weight will be in your left hand, Pretty obvious, right? Don't forget to keep your chest proud, your back flat, and your hips nice and square. And then, again, the foot on the same side as your weight will be back behind you. Once it's there, activate your floating leg, the leg that's behind you, throughout this movement by flexing your foot. Keep that foot nice and flexed, and that'll help you fire up your glutes just a bit. Drive through your standing leg so you can easily return to a standing position and track that movement with your gaze to maintain proper form. And that's about it. There's really nothing to this exercise. Actually, once you think about it, there's not much with any of these exercises, but man, oh man, when you lock in the right form and then you give each of these several good sets of 10 reps each, let me tell you, you're gonna feel it for sure. Now you can actually string these together into a workout in and of itself, or if you want, if you prefer, I should say, you can kind of sprinkle them into other workouts to keep your body and your muscles confused. You always want to keep your muscles guessing and wondering, what are we doing next? What's the next exercise? What are we like? You don't want to fall into a pattern with your workouts. Definitely do not want that to happen, because that's when you'll find, you don't get the results that you're looking for when you fall into those habits. But when you pepper in these exercises here and there, you keep your body movement. That's when you'll find good results. That's when the magic happens, and that is when people's heads start turning. And you know what? You can do it. I believe in you. I'm here for you. You can do it. And so with all that said and done, that's it, you guys. That's my show for today. Hope you found some valuable information here. And if nothing else, hope I've entertained you for a few minutes and was able to bring a little manly sunshine to your day. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to listen to me. It's very much appreciated. On next week's episode, we'll be talking about the number one thing that gets women to swipe right. So fellas, you definitely do not want to miss out on that. If you loved what you heard in today's episode and want more actionable topics just like these, then you, my friend, need to join the conversation with me and the rest of the community by heading on over to podcast.dasfornation.com/VIP to get on the VIP Insiders community where I share exclusive, raw, behind-the-scenes stories, tips, and hacks that'll keep you feeling younger and younger each and every day. That's podcast.dasfornation.com/VIP. Again, that's podcast.dasfornation.com/VIP. Be in the know starting right now. Also, don't forget to rate me on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you're listening to this episode right now. And leave me a nice, fat, juicy 5-star review and some absolutely beautiful words of why you love the show so much. It really helps me get the word out, and it's honestly the one place where your vote truly matters. Till the next chat, take care now. Bye.